So I did the updated attackers list. Now it's time to do the defenders one and explain it. So this is my list right here. You want to take a look at it? In D tier, we only have Alibi, and this is because, in my opinion, she's horrible, god awful, and should never be used. Her gun is trash and doesn't even have an ACOG, so it's just unusable. She does have like the AA-12 is the other gun, which is solid, but you know, like Azami has that, and it's just there's nothing unique about her. And she only has 3 Prismas, which are really only good for blocking specific lines of sights. Once you drone it out and see it's a Prisma, you can, you know, just avoid it. And also, and the Prismas don't even match the skin, so if the person's wearing Alibi Elite, you can obviously tell the difference between them. Moving on to C tier is this, so the options C tier are usable in their own way, but they're here because they're either just not unique enough, or they take like a certain degree of skill and strategy that the average player isn't going to use them for. So, for example, Mozzie's here because Mozzie does have 2 solid guns, like they're not bad in any way. But it's just like the Mozzie Pest cams, you know, those aren't guaranteed. You're not guaranteed to get a drone. Mozzie has a Nitro, which is good, but just nothing unique about them. It's like if you want cams, we have better ops for that, like Valk, Echo, you know, Maestro. Cav is pretty much like dependent on interrogation. If you don't get interrogation with Cav, it's no point in using her. Pulse is pretty good, but he's limited to certain sites most of the time, so that's why I have him down here. Thorn is good, but you know, I think they're just better ops, better trap ops to run. Tachanka is good for area denial, but I think a smoke is just a way better area denial. Solus is here because she got heavily nerfed. There's pretty much almost like no reason to play her anymore, especially with the impacts getting nerfed and her losing her impacts. Oryx is here because he's, you know, he has T5, which is good, but Legion's just a better counter. Even the shields, although Oryx is unique in the fact he can just destroy any shields. So unless they're running a shield-heavy attack, there's no point in running him. Clash is honestly, she has her argument for B tier in the right stack, but for the average player, they don't know how to play Clash correctly. Again, you need comms, like you can't solo queue as Clash. Aruni's here. Aruni does have an argument to be B tier just because she has the DMR, but her utility is solid but kind of mid at the same time. It's just, you know, if you want a DMR, you could always play 2-bro. I'm going to beat her. Vigil is here because he's the best roamer in the game. You can't drone him, can't demo strike him, doesn't get affected by line scans. Maestro is good. He has cams, but I think, you know, Valk and Echo have better cams, especially with Echo getting the ACOG. Ma's good. Even though losing his ACOG, I still have him in B instead. I'm not going to drop him all the way to C because, you know, because the MP5 is still a solid gun, the MP5K, and the AUG is also decent. And, you know, just he has so many gadgets that it's a good pick. Rook is here because, you know, Rook does give the extra life, the self-revive, but also some extra health, which can really come in clutch on a solid MP5 choice. Warden is great because he's the only counter to things like Yings, any smoke plants, you know, he just shuts that down. Recruit's very flexible. I haven't heard in B, just because, like, I do think no ACOG on the Commando kind of, you know, just leaves him at, like, a mid. He's still a good op, but I think there are better choices. Castle's good on specific sites, so we're not going to put him any higher than B, but he is solid, don't get me wrong. Ella, honestly, is very underrated op, and I do think if she were to get an ACOG on her Scorpion, she could move up to A here, because her traps are so annoying to play against. Frost is good, but, like, you know, most of the time, the Frost mats aren't really getting your kills, but her gun is solid. And Thunderbird's always a good choice if you have trash teammates that can't stay alive and you want to be able to heal yourself. So we're A tier, I was Zami in A. The reason she's not S is just because, you know, the keepers are getting easier and easier to break. Jaeger's in A with Omai losing the ACOG. It's going to make him, I already thought his gadget is better because, you know, it can be used more than once. And his AR is better, I would say, now that the MP5 doesn't have an ACOG. So I definitely would bump him up to A. Goyo's in A has an argument for S because his gadget is great. And he has the ACOG on the Vector. Valk's in A because her cams are just, you know, invaluable. You can hide them in crazy places and get crazy intel if you have good teammates that don't red ping. Smoke's in A. He has his S argument because he's the best area denial in the game, in my opinion. 2-bro's in A because, you know, obviously, if you have a 2-bro and a bandit, you can trick. Like, no matter, like, you know, you're guaranteed if you do it right. Capcan's in A. I don't think he's S tier because you can just drone out the traps and shoot them. Legion's an A. Argument for S because I think T5 is one of the best SMGs in the game and the best counter to a shield, and his sound cues are so loud. Fenrir is an A because even though he did get nerfed, there are just some Fenrirs that you can't see. You jump in and you're blind unless you drone them, of course. I got Doc in S. This might be controversial, but I do think he's an S because his stim is just, you know, full health is crazy, and the ACOG and the MP5. Mute, Bandit, Cade, these three, there shouldn't really be any arguing about this. You know, they're just some of the best defenders in the game, best denials. Mira, you know, her one-way sights, especially paired with like a Jaeger or Omai, are just invaluable. You can't really, you know, go without using those. Muzi getting the 4th trap. For the average player, you might say, well, no ACOG, she's not as good. But for a solid player like that can handle the no ACOG, 4 traps is absurd. And lastly, Echo getting the ACOG just makes him so much better. He's got ACOG, he's deployable shield and impacts, so you can play whatever one you want. And his cams are so good. You can not only can you deny plan with them, but just intel overall. And you can live drone your roamers around the map, which is invaluable.